Hatcher. Remains a very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatcher! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue. This is the first match preview that we're doing of the season. We're recording this on Thursday, the 8th of August. We're playing Stoke on Saturday at 12:30 kickoff at the Bet365 Stadium. So, first bit of housekeeping. Remember where you can find us, guys. We are on Twitter or X, Facebook, TikTok or Instagram. We're on YouTube as well, so please go and like and subscribe to there. There is some good videos. Our latest video is Mickey Quinn, really good interview, so go and have a look at that. This season, we are partnered with two people. We're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena, and we've also partnered with the Sky Blue Tavern, where I am tonight, our first one from the tavern at the Sky Blue Tavern in town. We're sponsored by Wright Steel Fabrications. His logo is in the corner just here somewhere. So he can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. But he will travel. His email address is linked to All Things Sky Blue bio as well. So go and have a look at that. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our guest. It's George from Potalytics. How are you, George?
Hi, Stuart. Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I'm very well. Excited about the season. How are you? Are you excited?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think it's been it's a very different pre-season for us this time. I think this time last year we'd already signed kind of 15 players, and that would go up to 20 at the end of the window.
Wow.
So a little bit of a different one, but looking forward to seeing how Saturday goes.
Brilliant, fantastic. So before we get into the meat of it, what have you been doing over the summer? What is your pre-season been like, and what have you been up to? And have you changed anything? Is there anything new on your website and podcast that you do?
Nothing particularly new for me. I've been since about it would have been before the last time we played. Actually, I've started up a little Patreon, so it's the odd videos coming through on there. Hopefully, some more coming in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
The plan is to certainly be doing one after Saturday's game. In terms of Stoke, it's been a strange one. A fair few leaving at the end of last season. The window's been started off very quick. Really impressed with a couple that came in, slowed down a little bit, and as we come to the end of pre-season, I think I kind of mentioned just before we started here that we're looking a little bit light outside of that starting 11. There was a trip over to Cork. There was a pre-season game against Chester, one against Crewe and Bolton as well, and then just ending on Saturday against AZ Alkmaar, who are in the top league in Holland. A 1-0 loss there. Both sides down to 10 men, strangely, but 1-0 loss in the end there. But nothing too negative to take away from that.
Okay, so where did you go on your pre-season tour? Was it mainly over to Ireland and stuff? Was it or?
Yes, I think they spent a week over in Ireland, and that was the sort of major part of it. I don't think there's been anything other than that. We've tended to stick more in the local area, I think, for games.
Okay, is that a new thing that Stoke have been doing, or is that what you've done in the past as well?
We have done it before in the past. I think last year we were in Benidorm. And I think by all accounts, there were some issues over there. I don't know exactly what went on, but I think this has been organised for quite a significant period of time. I think possibly even sort of Christmas time, this was organised and set up. So, yeah, very much staying closer to home. Not quite the old Austrian hills with Tony Pulis, but maybe a little bit more of that vibe.
And how have results been going? Obviously, you had your last pre-season friendly you just mentioned there was a 1-0 loss. What were they like beforehand?
So there was a 1-0 win at Bolton, a 1-0 loss away at Stockport, and then a couple of two or three big wins, I think, against Chester and Cork City as well. So, am I right in saying here? 2-1 win against Crewe as well. So generally positive. They've all been very different tests, though. I think Stephen Schumacher came out and said he wanted us to be playing a lot of different styles of side. So I think we've gone through that in pre-season to kind of test out how we're dealing with different types of threats, how we're producing our own threats against different types of defenses. So that is the thinking behind it. Whether it's going to sort of bear fruition, I'm not sure yet. But
yeah, our pre-season, to be fair, has been one of excitement, really, in terms of what we've been doing, because, the past few years, yes, we've gone, over to Spain mainly, and played a few pre-season games over in Spain and nothing over in England, apart from, Shrewsbury or, not taking anything away from them games as such, really. Yeah. But, you always want to come back home. And this year it's been very different. We went over to Spain. We had a tough game against Getafe, which ended in a 0-0. And that's the kind of game that I quite liked, because from the word go, Getafe were kicking players, very physical. And that's what we're going to come up against the likes when we play you against Stoke and Preston, another physical team. So I think it was a good test for us. And drawing 0-0 against Getafe, on a bit of a bobbly pitch, I would say, not the best pitch because it was a training pitch. Mm-hmm. It was a good test for us. And then we come back and then we had, in between that, I think we had a game against Stevenage where we beat them, I think, quite comfortably. We had a game against Port Vale, I think, which we conceded an early goal. And then we went on and won 3-4-1 or something like that. We had really good game against Everton. I thought Everton didn't play particularly very well, but it was still a Premier League side. And I don't know whether it was the way that we played. Maybe I should give us a little bit more credit about the way that we played. And we won 3-0, 3 really good, well-worked goals as well. So that gave us optimism. And then we had
the excitement's there.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is. And then we had our last pre-season friendly was against Werder Bremen at home as well. So 2 really good home fixtures to get the crowd really going at the CBS. We lost 2-1, but again, another good physical game. And they were played better than Everton. They pressed us higher. And again, it was a really good game because I think, again, that's what's going to happen against Stoke. Physical and press high and try and cause trouble, really. So, lots to be positive about at the CBS and just the league in general. And as I mentioned off air, a lot of different podcasts are calling us to finish 3rd, 2nd. Some of us even have us as champions. I don't quite see us as champions, but I do think that we'll finish high. If you could offer me now, though, a 3rd place finish and we win the playoffs, I'd take it, because I would only want to go via the playoffs, not 1st or 2nd. Give me the playoffs any day. But because you can't guarantee it, then 2nd place will do for me. But yeah, it's very optimistic. Looking forward to it, most definitely. I'm going again. I went last year to Stoke, and I'm going this year. So yeah, looking forward to it again. It's always
you'll be in a slightly different area this time. I don't know if you spotted the
I believe so.
Around and everything. Yeah. So you guys will be up in the corner that is. If you're in the away end looking out to the pitch, it's just the corner to your right. That's where we're housing the away fans now. From this season onwards, I believe.
Okay, is that so you can get more home fans in, or is that just
now that whole stand should be safe standing?
Oh, okay.
On that side, so yeah, I think they've got it so that our fans are next to the tunnel. How much difference that makes, I'm not 100% sure, but they've got that, and they've got the safe standing area over in that stand as well.
Excellent, fantastic. So let's go into the little bit of the history then of our games. Last year, we at the CBS we had a 0-0 result. So again, close games, and then at the Bet365, I believe it might have been one of Ellis Sim's first goals for us. I know he scored 2 against QPR, and then he went a few games, and it might have been against you that he scored another one. Somebody will probably tell me that I'm absolutely wrong on that one. But yeah, so they've been close games. I do expect us to win. if I am honest. Obviously, we'll come to predictions a little bit later on, but with the signings that we've made, I do expect us to win. How do you think that this game's going to go compared to past?
It's going to be very interesting to see. I think one of the sort of benefits on your side is that I think Stoke are missing one or two really key players. Particularly Bajan Ho seems like the idea is he's going to be out until maybe the second or third game of the season. And he kind of maybe not makes things tick just on his own, but that means we only really have our one creative outlet in Million Manhoef on the other side. So that probably makes quite a big difference to how we're going to be able to play the game. It's unclear to me yet whether Sam Gallagher or Ryan Mai are going to feature. Both have been, again, Sam Gallagher injured last weekend against Alkmaar. Ryan Mai's been out for a little while, but may well come back in. So that's probably Niall Ennis starting up front. Again, far from perfect for Stoke's first game of the season. And then we don't have those players necessarily coming in from the bench to sort of fill up the squad with as much quality as we've got in the starting 11. So I think I'm probably on side with you that I would expect Coventry to probably come away with something closer to 3 points from this game. If we can take a draw, I would probably say yes to that right now. As it stands. It's a very odd one, though, because I think prior to Saturday's last pre-season game, most people were generally fairly optimistic. I think people were expecting a few more signings to have come through the door, but for the most part, people were thinking we're in an okay position. And then you look at the team that's come out on Saturday's game. Very tough opposition in Alkmaar. I believe they're Europa League this year, similar to what you were saying for playing against Getafe. Made it very difficult for us. Played really well. We did well to stay in the game. I think 1-0 to them. It probably could have been 2, but we had a couple of chances ourselves. I think people came away from the game thinking we're probably not quite where we need to be just yet.
Okay, fair enough. And what's the thoughts on Schumacher still? Are people, is the consensus that they're happy with what he's doing and with the players that he's bringing in, or are they not?
Generally, yeah, I think people are still fairly supportive of Schumacher. I think there's a very strong recognition that what he picked up last year was not an easy position to start from. I think it helps that we finished the season really strongly. We had we beat Southampton away, we beat Plymouth 3-0, and then last game of the season was 4-0 against Bristol City at home, if I remember right. So lots of positivity built up there. I think he speaks in a way that's very sort of optimism building for Stoke fans in terms of he sort of wants the right things from his team. More of the criticism at the minute is coming on the recruitment side of things. We've just brought in head of recruitment Lee Darnborough from Hull, and it looks like our old head of recruitment is going to Hull himself, so that's going to be an interesting one. But I think there's more worry on that side of things than there is on the managerial side. I think we've been through so many the past 6, 7, 10 years that it's possibly starting to sort of sink in that it can't be the manager every time at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Now, obviously, we've mentioned about players coming in. Obviously, just before we came on, I mentioned obviously that you signed Sam Gallagher. Victor Johansson is a goalkeeper that we looked at, and a lot of players were a little bit gutted when he signed for you guys, really, because he was a standout goalkeeper. He made a mistake against Coventry when he played for Rotherham, which started Ellis Sims' his hat trick against Rotherham that day. But on the whole, he is a good, solid goalkeeper. You've also brought in Ben Gibson, which is a good free transfer. Again, somebody that I kind of earmarked a little bit. He might be on the the wrong side of 30 for us because we tend to go a little bit younger. But again, a good, solid Championship player, and that's kind of, apart from Sam Gallagher, that's the core, defence and goalkeeper. That's the start of the core. And with what you've got as well, I think you have got cause for a little bit of optimism. I'm not sure. I don't think you'll finish in the top 6 as such, but I do think that you'll definitely be up there. with the players that have coming in and with the players that have gone, because you've lost Tom Edwards and you've lost Kieran Clark, will that change your tactics at all, or will you pretty much play the same style as you did last year under Schumacher?
I think it'll be pretty similar to possibly not how Schumacher played when you guys visited. I think at that point we were very much in the middle of a kind of reaction to being very close to the bottom. I think at that point we were full into sort of grind out results mode. I think it'll be much more like what we saw towards the end of the season, and probably much more like what we saw when Schumacher first came in terms of getting the ball forward quickly, not necessarily in the air, but much more quickly towards the front lines, trying to pack out the attacking sort of third of the pitch, and letting people like Chamadou, who's probably going to start fullback now, and people like Bocat, who's one of our newer signings at left back, letting them get forward and influence the game. I think the signings, for the most part, I think what's probably going to hurt us more than people like Clark or Edwards leaving, they didn't play too much, is some of those loanees that we did have last year that have not, yet to come back, and obviously won't be back for Saturday's game, to my understanding. So people like Kiana Hoover, people like Luke Cundle, who were fairly key figures for Schumacher towards the end of last season.
Okay, fair enough. Have you got any questions for us from your side, or are you pretty much, what you're going to get with Coventry with the signings that we've signed already?
Yeah, I think my interesting one is how the front line's going to shape up for you guys, because I saw obviously Thomas Asante signed, and I know there was a lot of changing when we spoke last season in terms of what you were thinking for that best sort of front line for you guys. Is that much more solidified now?
No, is the honest answer. It's not. I think, look, we've made some really good signings. We've got Mason Clark that's come in now. We've got Rudoni that's come in. Sakamoto's back now as well. Haji Wright, Ellis Sims, Thomas Asante, Casey Palmer. Mm-hmm. To a certain extent, I suppose you could include Jamie Allen in that as well, maybe slightly. So the bit that kind of speaks for itself is the back four pretty much, and the goalkeeper. Yep. Everything else, apart from if Ben Sheaf's fit, Ben Sheaf plays, but everything else is literally a flick of a coin, if I'm honest, because he's got so much, so much talent there that he can choose from. It's very much, it's very much a headache for Robbins. Me personally, the three, with everybody fit, the three in midfield for me would probably be Sheaf, Torp and Rudoni. That would be the three. Then you're probably talking Sakamoto. There isn't many that's going to take Sakamoto's place on that right-hand side. On the left, just because of his work rate, I would probably go with Mason Clark over Haji Wright. Just because last season, for me, Haji just didn't track back enough, and he left, whether it was Bidwell or De Silva, a little bit more exposed than what I think Mason Clark would do. And then Ellis Sims would probably start up front as the number 9. But again, Haji Wright can go there. Thomas Asante can go there. So again, it's kind of a flick of a coin. But for me, that would probably be the starting lineup in terms of the forward line, really. So Sakamoto, Mason Clark, and Sims up top. Mm-hmm. If Sheaf isn't fit, because Sheaf is a doubt for the game, then probably Eccles would come into that role, and you'd have Eccles, Torp and Rudoni. I think they're going to be the main three. But Alan's done well at pre-season. He had a really good game against Everton. Got a little lost against Werder Bremen a little bit, but I think that's just the way that Werder Bremen played. Yeah. But again, we've got a strong squad. So even if they don't start, you've got Thomas Asante to come on, you've got Haji to come on, or vice versa. So again, this season was about getting that squad depth, and I think we've got it. maybe lacking in probably the central midfield role if Sheaf is out. It's that depth that we don't necessarily have. And at centre-back and maybe at right-back as well for a little bit of cover. But on the whole, yeah, I'm quite happy. And I think that's how we will line up on Saturday against you guys, really.
Yeah, that was what I was worrying you'd say, is that you've got that much backup ready to come in, to be honest.
Yeah, we have. So what do you see, who do you see as your main threats from us?
I think, obviously, Sakamoto. I think particularly worrying for me is anyone who provides a lot of width for you in the final third. So if your fullbacks are coming aggressively into the game, what we saw against Alkmaar basically is that's a struggle for Stoke.
Oh, okay.
In terms of the fullbacks, our own fullbacks trying to stay narrow and really compact. Sometimes that leaves quite a bit of space in wide areas. And Wilmot and Gibson started centre-half on Saturday. I'd be very surprised if they don't. To be honest, I'd be very surprised if the starting 11 from the Alkmaar game, maybe minus Sam Gallagher, doesn't start on Saturday against you guys. But Wilmot and Gibson in particular, quality defenders, not necessarily the quickest on the turn to a ball in behind. So probably another worry on my side.
Yeah, especially if Asante does play. I didn't even mention Casey Palmer within that. Yeah. I forgot Casey Palmer as well. So it just shows that depth that we have got. I can't remember. You'll have to remind me. Do you do predictions? Are you happy to do predictions? Because some people aren't.
I'm happy to go.
Okay. So what's your prediction for Saturday then?
I'm going to have to be optimistic, and I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit of a smash and grab 1-1 draw, if that does happen on our part.
Okay, fair enough. Who do you think? Have you got a goal scorer in mind for you guys?
I'm going to go with Million Manhuff. I think probably the quality player on the pitch at the minute for us with the injuries that we've got. Came in January and really quickly established himself as a really high quality player. I think one of those players who, we were very lucky that the club he came from were in some financial dire straits. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's either higher up the league or in another league come the end of this season.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Do you think you'll keep him then?
I think he's fine for now and probably for the rest of this season. There's a few big question marks across a couple of players in that sense. We've got Wouter Berger, who came in from Basel last season. Again, an excellent player who no doubt will at some point be at a higher level. Bae Jun-ho, already been the sort of subject of quite a lot of transfer rumours over the summer. Sort of apparent bids coming in for 8-10 million.
Okay.
Again, another player who will be above the championship at some point. Whether that's with us or not, I'd like it to be, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay. And then probably Manhuff is the final one of those who came in for 3 or 4 million and really had a good end to last season.
Nice. Did he come in January then, I presume?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, well, my prediction, I think it will be a tough game, but I do think that we will have enough to see over the line. I'd love to say that we'd absolutely annihilate you and it'd be 4 or 5 because of the pre-season that we've had and the optimism that everybody's got. But I'm not going to do that. I think I need to give you a little bit more respect than that because Stoke's always a tough game. Nobody likes going to Stoke, whether on a Saturday or a Tuesday or whatever it may be. But I do think that we'll get enough. We will have enough to get it over the line. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, I think. Yeah. And scorers, I think Sims is going to start off quite quick. I'm not sure whether Hadji, like I said, Hadji will feature at some stage. Whether he starts, not sure. But I think Sims and probably Rudoni, because Rudoni at the moment has been the shining light of that central midfield. So I'm going to go for Sims and Rudoni in that 2-0 win, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I very much wouldn't be surprised. I think my head probably says something like a 2-0 or a 2-1, but it's difficult to tell, I think.
Yeah, definitely. First game of the season. And
the sort of I know every team will say it, but the sort of the Stokeness of it is that I could also see us coming out really confidently and having a great first 60 minutes or so and getting into a good position, just as much as I could see us having a bout of, confidence failure and collapsing a little bit.
Yeah, that's my worry, that I'm kind of too optimistic and too happy about what's going on, to be fair. Look, it's not a normal Cov thing to do, is be happy. We're normally moaning about something, but we've got nothing to moan about this year. The stadium's looking great. Because the Everton game, we had over 17,000 fans for a pre-season friendly. So, it's going to be really rocking in there for the home games, especially. We always take a good following away from home, regardless of where we go. So, so really pleased with that. And I think we'll be okay. So, as always, I finish up on the quick fire questions, just 4 or 5 quick little questions. But I am going to make a note of some of your answers, and then we're going to refer to them later on in the season when we play you guys at the CBS Arena. So, first of all you've probably said this already, and I think I know who you're going to say, but first question is, player to look out for.
For Saturday's game or for across the season?
Just for across the season.
Bajan Ho.
Bajan Ho.
Bajan Ho is the one for me, yeah. Yeah, just one of those footballers who gets on the ball and you can see everyone kind of stand up a little bit off their seat and go,
okay. Okay, cool. Lovely. Where do you think Cov will finish?
I'm going to go with a conservative 6th.
Okay.
I think probably possibly a little bit higher up than that, but I think I'll go with that, looking at some of the other sides as well. Okay, cool.
Where do you think you'll finish?
God, it seems like the only answer for the past 6 or 7 seasons is 16th, but I'll be optimistic and say 12th. I think we might just break towards the top half. Okay. And the last question, one player from the Coventry side that you would take for your team? Oh, that's a really good question. We don't really have any centre halves at the minute, but I don't think I can say anyone other than Sakamoto, to be honest. Oh, okay, interesting. Always an exciting player if I'm going to steal them from someone else's fan base. I agree, to be fair. It's boring taking a centre half or a goalkeeper or a right back, or a left back. You've got to take someone attacking, haven't you? Yeah, exactly. No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again for joining us. Just remind everybody, George, where we can find you guys and what you guys do. Yeah, thank you. Absolute pleasure to be on. I'm George, so I run Potalytics on Twitter as @Potalytics. Is it there on screen? Yeah, somewhere? It's just down there, mate, yeah. And potalytics.blog for a website as well. I just do some pieces on analysis, statistics for Stoke City for the men's first team throughout the season, so watch out for stuff like that. Fantastic. Thank you very much. When we finish, don't shoot off. We'll have a quick chat afterwards as well. Yep. All right. So just remember, guys, where you can find us. We're All Things Sky Blue on Twitter or X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We are on YouTube as well, so please go and like and subscribe on there. We are on podcasts on Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you do go and listen to us on there, please go and rate us 5 stars. It just helps us get out there a bit more. We're partnered with the Tavern where I am today, and we're also partnered with the anecdote at the I nearly forgot then, at the CBS Arena, and we're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications. He can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. Once again, George, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully on the reverse fixture, we'll see you as well. I've got an ex-player. I've already got this confirmed. I'm not going to say who it is, but they play for Stoke and Coventry. So I've got an ex-player that I'm going to interview just before our next game. So that will be a highlight of that one as well. So looking forward to that one. Yeah, brilliant. So thanks again, George. Much appreciated. Play up Sky Blues.